Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is Bristol Real. I'm Val.
I'm Jerome.
And I'm Tom. Today we had Jim Cossey on the podcast, who's a professional photographer living in Bristol, who we found out about through Twitter, actually. So we thought his photos were brilliant, so we wanted to get him on and see how he works.
He spent some time working in the Alps, spent 3 years out there. He's also won the Bristol 24-hour photo competition. You'll definitely recognise one of these. It's been on the cover of Bristol magazine. He talked about how he collaborates with others and his personal background, so he lives in Dorset and Devon, and what it's like for him moving to Bristol and meeting all these other fantastic people.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy it.
Okay, well, we can get started now then. I think it's probably worth mentioning at the start that we did
just introduce it.
We did try and record this episode before, but we had some wind issues, so we're going again, and I'm sure it'll be even better this time. So I think we probably better start with a little bit of story as to how you got into photography then, Jim.
Yeah.
What's your story behind that?
Hi guys, hi again. So how I've got into photography was found a basic, very, very basic, it's like a webcam really, probably like a 1 megapixel stick camera with no sort of display or anything like that. It literally had a little viewfinder you could look through, and just had that, started snapping with that. I was actually riding BMX at the time, which I used to do a lot of with my mates, and we used to document BMX photography around the skate park. No one was really doing it, so it felt like a good thing to do. And then, it progressed really. Probably the next Christmas, I wanted a new digital camera, and it just evolved from that really. And then just stepped up every time really, just trying to get a better camera or a new lens or... Yeah, and that's where the spark came from. It was such good fun. Just a great way to document. I have a love for BMX and hanging out with friends and having good times. Yeah, so that's where it's all started from.
Yeah. So the BMXing had been going on for a while before then.
Yeah.
So, like, what made you think that you? I think it's quite common for people to photograph. You see a lot of skateboarders do it.
Yeah, and it's that action. You want to try and capture that trick at the right time, or. It could be the good time of day where it's, near sunset, it's good light, or, your mate's just learnt a new trick and you've got to take a picture to put it on. Well, back then it would have been MySpace and, you wanted a new status or profile picture. It would be BMX was, or I used to ride bikes a lot more when I was younger, from quite an early age. And then it was from the mates I used to hang around at school, who we'd, really go down to the park and spend a lot of time riding. So it's again, it just progressed really. We try and get a few trips out, couple of months, to try and go to like Barcelona. We went there for a while, a couple of times, and we go to cities around the UK to try and go to new skate parks. So again, the camera was always there to try and take pictures and document the trips away, and that's where it started really.
And so to the point where you're trying to now do that as full-time photography.
Yeah. So currently I'm a assistant brewer for More Beer in Bristol, and it's like every photographer's dream really, isn't it, to go pro, but it's such a hard industry. And of course there's so many people out there with half decent camera that can take a photo, or someone's always got a friend who is gone, oh yeah, they take photos, or oh yeah, they're pretty good. So it's difficult, and there's so many good photographers out there. And how do you stand out against it? Well, it's difficult. You just have to try and see it through your own eyes and see if you can try and get that shot. So that's the aim, especially this year, is to push it as hard as I can really.
Yeah. Is it easier with social media now, or is it harder at the same time? Because there's so many photos like Instagram, things like that.
Yeah, it's a good point.
A lot of it is junk.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's two ways you can look at it really. It's so much easier now to get yourself exposure. You can just tweet or Instagram or Facebook. Within minutes, thousands of people or hundreds of people can see your photo, which is great. And especially with Twitter as well, because you can obviously track where your sort of photo gets posted or liked or favorited by So you can kind of follow its journey around the social media. It's quite cool. And yeah, but at the same time, there's so much other photographers obviously getting their photos shown to the world as well. So it's difficult, but I think you kind of have to look at it as it's always good exposure. If you can use social media to your advantage, and just post up like I do. I suppose I post quite a bit, but it's good. I think you can connect with people through that way. You can build relationships. I've a lot of companies have come to me through social media, who probably I would never have met or never would have exchanged details with otherwise. Really, yeah. So it's definitely an advantage.
Do you find that you have to be slightly more creative with your shots to get attention then? You think like it's not just about it being aesthetically, you have to do something different. Like I can see on a lot of these you've got the steel wall and the effects and the lighting effects and thirds that kind of make it stand out a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's all about being different. I think there's especially with photographs, there's that rule of thirds where you shoot landscape. You should have the foreground and the background set. And your subject in between, or you should shoot in a different sort of light or way. But again, yeah, definitely with photography, you should sort of try and break up the rules and be different. And yeah, definitely those shots. I think that some of the shots, my popular shots, are ones that have been. The ones that are not normally the norm. They're probably like still one side of the building, or just a totally different.
Well, this one is this on one of the bridges?
Yeah, that is
Bristol. This one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what bridge that is
sure
actually.
We'll
That's
post a link to this.
What's it called? It's near the Crate building.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what bridge it is. It's got a name. Yeah, but yeah, it's stuff like this. It's again you can see the trails of the steel wall like bouncing off. The steel girders, you've got graffiti on. There's it's just like quite a dirty picture, but in a way it's quite a really cool way. If you look at it, it's taking a view and changing it and making it look really different, which is the art in photography, I think. To try and see that picture through the artist's eye, because we're all different and we all have a different perception of what a photo should be or a certain scene. So yeah, that's down to the photographer really to try and set that up. So yeah.
Do you take these sort of things for an application? Do you think, okay, this one would be really good for an album cover that someone might want, or like the one that you've got featured on the Visit Bristol magazine? Was that like, oh, this would be great for a Visit Bristol magazine?
Yeah, well, yeah. Funnily enough, that one at the time, I hadn't seen that view or that steel hoop. It was actually my girlfriend at the time. We were out. Yeah, in Bristol for that, shooting the 24 hours in Bristol competition, and it was you get basically a set hour to shoot, and it was coming into my hour, and yeah, throughout the day really not really got many shots, but we were down the harbour side near the Alfini, and just looking over to the cranes, and the light was really cool. It's just really glowing, and the harbour side was looking really good, and yeah, Emma was just sort of like, oh, why don't you just use that hoop on the floor to just maybe frame a shot? And I was just like, guys, yeah, that's genius, so yeah, I was down on my sort of hands and knees and scrabbling about trying to get the camera right, and trying to get the hoop set up so I could frame it. And it's I knew it was a good shot, but I had no idea that it would he'd be on the front cover of Visit Bristol. So yeah, that was awesome when they announced that. So yeah, again, a lot of people said how different that is. They've not seen a shot like that. So yeah, again, it's different. You have to try and be different. Although there's classic shots to follow, it's always those different ones that get the more notice, the more gratification.
Is it more important the kind of having the vision for those shots, or understanding how to utilize the aperture, the ISO, things like that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a blend of the two. You've got to see that shot, you've got to know that shot to take, and you've got to know how you can apply that with the camera. Or again, a lot of times I try and shoot a lot of 60% of the image in camera, and then probably like the rest in After Effects, in Photoshop or Lightroom, just to really tweak some of the colours or the the shadows and the contrast. But yeah, it's definitely just knowing how the camera is going to take the picture, how you want it to be in your head, because you always have that sort of image first. Me and a good friend of mine, Josh, were up at Clifton the other day, and it was at night time, and he'd seen the cherry blossom that's around at the moment, and he's not one for taking pictures of plants or flowers, and he's very much a sort of a night photographer, so he was sort of like, we could set this up. He wanted me to sit underneath on a bench underneath this tree and chuck some petals up, and then use sort of creative lighting, so that's like sort of 3 flashes set up just to throw some light at it, but all around the rest of the image would be complete darkness, so it'd just be this tree that's lit up and like a silhouette of me and then some petals. But yeah, it's stuff like that. It goes back to trying to see that image before you take it. It's probably the crucial part.
And they kind of develop at the same time, because you see those books in like the bookshelves teaching you how to use your camera, like 1,000 ways to take a great picture or whatever. Is it something that you have to you think it's more important to actually go out there and with no knowledge and just take pictures?
Yeah, well, in a sense, that's probably what I did actually. I grabbed the camera and just basically messed around and experimented with it, and just put myself in situations that I wouldn't necessarily know how to shoot, but in the long run, after keep doing it, you kind of realise what you need to do, what kind of settings you need to be at. And yeah, it's definitely, obviously there's a lot of really good photographers that are classically trained, have gone to uni and done their degrees, and they know obviously, and they can take a good shot. But there's also a lot of people like myself, it's just self-taught, and just tries to experiment with stuff really, and to try and get different shots.
Do you see a difference between the people who have gone to university to study it, the way they're less creative or something like that?
Rigid, maybe.
They're probably definitely more set in their ways, and a lot of rules and guidelines that they probably would want to follow to show in their photography, rather than. It's different. It's probably like anything. Someone who's classically trained in music, or who's just self-taught, and So it's definitely it's definitely different. But again, there's no two ways about it. They're both very good in photography, stuff like that.
What lengths have you gone to for photographs before? Because last time we spoke, you said you were up at 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, going out to the bridge to get the ideal picture, or going out late at night with a group of people that you've met on Instagram to take a picture. Could you give us a bit more detail on that?
Yeah. Sorry. What did I say? Yeah. I didn't quite hear what you said.
Okay.
Did you say
bad.
links,
yeah.
or?
No, I said the people you met on Instagram, you said that you went out with them to take pictures at particular locations, like the one with the steel wool on the building, for example. I think you did that with either Bristol Art Collective or that group of followers, didn't you?
Yes. So basically, again, since moving to Bristol, and I moved here last summer, the end of last summer, and since being here, it's been really great, because I've never had such a good amount of sort of photographers to go out with, and especially through Instagram, there's such a good online community that we can all organise meetups, or we can trade pictures, we can say, give good advice to each other, and basically it does get sort of me out of the house, and gets us outside shooting photography, which is ideally what we want to do, and so we'll either converse over the week and try and think of plans of what we can shoot for the weekend, or what we've got sort of planning up sort of to shoot. And like the one that we did at the side of the building near Nelson Street, again through Instagram, we met a guy who was like, I've got keys to this high block of offices, and we can get onto the roof. And we were like, cool, awesome. Josh is a good friend of mine, great photographer, was like, yeah, definitely, let's get up there. And so we took steel wool, fireworks. So he always carries fireworks just in case there's that situation where you want to fire some fireworks off a building, but we thought probably not this time. We again, it leads us to these sort of different views. Really, we've got the one on top of the office blocks was like Bristol skyline, really, in the background, and it was us on the rooftop with the steel wall spinning and trying to get these long exposure shots, the sparks sort of falling down the side of the building as well. Just gets you into scenarios that you would never normally get to, really. Again, you let your sort of creativity unleash for the photo. And again, we've going to London not long ago, again with Josh, who we've made brilliant friends with in London on Instagram, and we still talk most weeks now. And just again, they're so welcoming. They put on this meet for us to come up, and there was about 15 other photographers that all sort of gave up their time to come out with us and shoot, and they showed us their local spots. We went to Leek Street tunnels, which were like amazing graffiti tunnels. We did some smoke bombs in there. People put on some gas masks and sort of climbing in bins and kind of making a different scene, so to speak. So it just photography was back when I first started still quite like, I don't know, if you rocked up somewhere and there was some other guy shooting, he kind of double look at you and go, well, what are you doing? You're going to steal my shot. Whereas now, it's especially this generation, there's a lot of people out there who want to help each other, and if you're there with them, it's all the merrier, really. So it's cool.
You mainly do landscape photography, don't you?
Yeah.
The thing is, when I try and take pictures from time to time, but I find landscape a lot harder than taking pictures of people, and I'm not exactly because there might be a really nice view somewhere, but when I take the picture, it doesn't look as nice.
Yeah, that's like me, but the other way around. Like, I find it hard to take pictures of people.
Yeah.
I can never seem to get, I don't know, the tones and the nice soft light. I can never really get that with people. It's funny. I think for landscape, it's just sort of clicked with me. I kind of know what I'm looking for in the landscape and what scene sort of to look out for and where I need to be, and kind of I need to shoot wide or close in. I guess I've shot landscape probably since I started up, and I still shoot now landscape, but again a lot of long exposure city stuff since being in Bristol. It's I try and bring that landscape aspect into when we do some kind of still wall or some light painting stuff, because I try and keep that's sort of my trait, I suppose, the landscape side of stuff. So again, when we were up in Wheels Memorial Tower the other day, at the top there overlooking the city skyline just after sunset, it was perfect because you had the landscape, but you had the city as well, and you had long exposure. So I did kind of like 4 images stacked on each other in the end to create light trails of cars going down Park Street. And actually up there, Park Street just looks flat. It's really weird. You have this perception of it literally just looks like a normal road. You wouldn't realise it was quite a steep hill. That's what I try and do, really, is kind of keep that landscape. I think I'll always obviously shoot landscape, but it's what I love to do, really. At the end of the day, is definitely landscapes. Trying to get out of the city as well. It's important to, although the city's awesome and it's especially Bristol. There's so many good parts of Bristol that make great photos. But I do like. It's like last night. I went out to the sunset at near Portishead, and just to be on the stony beach there. Although, all right, it's only the 7 Street, but it's nice to just be in that sort of tranquil environment away from everyone and just hear the water and just watch the sunset. And that's probably still my favourite.
Do you go? Do you do a lot of traveling? Like I know you went to the Alps for 3 years.
Yeah. We do like traveling, and he actually, since going to the Alps, has given me even more of a travel bug. I met my girlfriend Emma about 6 years ago, and we were just doing mundane jobs. Fair enough. It was good. We had good jobs, but. We thought before we settle down and buy somewhere or rent somewhere, we'd do some travelling. And I'd always gone skiing as a kid on ski holidays. Emma had done a few. We went out again for a ski holiday, and then we got the bug. Talked to some people, and they were like, "Yeah, why don't you do a season?" So we came back and packed our bags the following year, and then went out there for 3 years doing. We ran chalets, so we cook and clean and look after the people, and we did winters and summers. So summer was like mountain biking, and actually sort of my photography again developed from there, really. The love of the mountains and just the views themselves are awesome. But yeah, again, with the mountain bikers, which is quite a good idea, really, they'd stay in the chalet. And of course, I mean, I think it's quite natural in a way, like extreme sports, with GoPros, they're like the most documented sort of people with themselves. They just love, anyone like goes out for a ride, it's always got to take a shot. Been out for a ride today, look what I've done, or look at my jump I did. And yeah, they'd have GoPros and that, but there was no one really taking pictures of them. So I sort of set up this service in the chalet where I was like, right, okay, well, I'll charge €40 and I'll come out with my camera, follow you on the trails, and then we'll set up some good shots of you riding your bike or doing jumps or just hammering down a downhill run. And yeah, that proved really good, actually. I'd be doing that most weeks, really, going out with a couple of guys or groups of guys going out, and it was a good little memory, really. Yeah.
Have you ever considered going back?
Yes. Up until, I suppose, there was a period after coming back from the Alps. It's not depressive, but it's like you come back, you've been in amazing mountains. I love skiing, I love mountain biking. That's probably what I could do all the time, really. And you're in this little bubble out there because everyone's on holiday, everyone's happy. You've got no one complaining. You've got endless sunshine in the summer. You're out there for having barbecues. You go into lakes, swimming. It's ideal. And come winter, you've got so much snow to play around in, and you have this bubble, really, of people that are out there very, very similar to how I was and Emma are, and it's hard to kind of go, right, okay, we're going to go back to the UK and we're going to try and do the normal life, really, rather than try and live out there. And for a while it was hard because it was just like, oh, do you know what? Why don't we just go back out? And but actually, since moving to Bristol, we've sort of fell in love with the city, really, and actually, prefer to really be here, to be honest. Yeah, because we can always go back to the Alps.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's time to settle down now.
So, in an ideal world, because you mentioned you wanted to become professional, ideally. Would you do travel? Would you go back and kind of take travel photos, landscapes all around the world? Like, is that kind of the dream, I suppose?
Definitely. I mean, if you had some agent ring you up and go, look, we need to be, you need you to be in Canada, or, you need you to be in anywhere in the world, really, to take photos, that'd be awesome. But it's hard. I don't know how it's that next step, really. It's becoming that sort of a step between sort of semi-pro, I suppose, where I am now, to really be noted and to be like, right, okay, we can send him out. It's kind of like showing people that you can do that, you can get the shot. It's having that opportunity, which is difficult because there's so many good photographers out there, and they're trusted within the industry. So you've got the big people who can just call on them, send them out, and they know they're going to get the shots. But it's trying to be like me, trying to go to them, and go, can you let me have that chance? But yeah, I mean, again, it's networking within the industry, and it's again back to social media. Trying to network with people, trying to like with stuff I do in Bristol. I don't, a lot of times. Sometimes I often charge for stuff, but it's kind of like that partnership you have with, okay, I'll give you a couple of photos, or hopefully then you'll get a good exposure, and then you get people come to me like this. This couple of weeks I've had quite a lot of. I sell prints, views of the city, or most of my photography is available for prints. So yeah, again, since having quite a few good weeks of good exposure, I've had quite a few sales of prints. So it swings and roundabouts really.
Yeah, is that how the plan of action is going to go then? If that's the aim, is it going to continue to be very social media based and just kind of a slow progression, or do you have some crazy plan that you're going to do to try and?
Yeah, do you have like some sort of publication that ultimately go like National Geographic?
Would you work for a
something like
publication, or would you rather be a freelance photographer so you get calls around the world?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you kind of want that. Want to be your own boss, want to make your own decisions, and you want to go to places you want to go to at certain times of year. But at the same time, if you have a big client that you can rely on, who can give you a set number of sort of work throughout the year or a set number of trips you can go on, obviously that'd be amazing as well. Definitely wouldn't turn that down. But yeah, so yeah, it would be a mixture really. It would be the goal if I knew that I could do a couple of trips for a company and then the rest could be mine. It'd be awesome. But we'll see.
It's a bit of a tangent, but like we mentioned the social media stuff, and there's an article I read this morning. Like, what do you think of the selfie stick and things like that?
Yeah.
Now there's they've made a new thing where there's
I saw that this morning. Yeah,
so it looks like you're holding onto someone else when you're taking the picture.
That's brilliant. I mean, first of all, I wish I'd come up with a selfie stick because the amount of selfie sticks that have sold. And yeah, again, there's another chance I sort of missed out on was creating a selfie hand. No, I saw that this morning. It made me laugh. Yeah. What do I think of it?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
It's weird. Yeah. It's weird. But at least you don't look like a loner, I suppose, at the end of it.
Well, unless people find out.
I think people are going to be able to tell now whenever they see
the trouble is you can have a dead hand, hanging out of your backpack or something like that. When you're walking about, it's going to look, I think, even more creepy. I think actually from a third sort of eye point of view, it's going to look creepy if someone's holding a camera with a fake hand or a fake arm. At least with the selfie stick, you kind of think, well, okay, it's a selfie stick.
Yeah. It's still a bit weird, but
On a general note about kind of social media, everyone seems to think they're photographers these days with Instagram filters and things like that, making it look 10 times better. Do you think that kind of devalues the art of photography a bit, or are you all for everyone wanting to embracing?
I think
trying to be good.
Yeah, it's definitely more people embrace it, the better. Mm-hmm. Saying that there's 10 times more crap photos out there. But it kind of, when then you do see a good photo, you really kind of like respect it and kind of you're in awe of it really. I just love people to take photos, so for me it's great if I see people trying to get arty of their photos, or especially when you see someone who just sort of starts out and then really gets into it and really gets involved and then gets a love for it. And that could just be then, starting out and just, overexposing anything or using HDR to the wrong ways, or, really making crap pictures. But then if they, I was kind of like that. I used to, looking back at some of your old stuff, photography is a journey, and you do start out and you do learn the rights and wrongs. And I think more people taking photos is definitely a good thing. But yeah, again, you kind of, with social media, you kind of choose the people you want to follow, who give you your daily inspiration, I suppose, when you look at Instagram and Twitter or their Facebook pages. Yeah, definitely.
Do you ever see some sort of photo on social media and think, oh, I'm going to go try and get a photo similar to that, even if it's, say, somewhere in a different city?
Yeah. Well, so again, mates of mine through Instagram have just gone to Iceland, and one of the best things you could try and get as your landscape photographer is like the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, and seeing their pictures coming back from there, I was just like gobsmacked really. And again, it's going to be a similar view if I went out there and took it, but it's one of those photos you just got to get, and you just got to have in your portfolio. Yeah, definitely. Again, with trips, hoping to next year to go to North Norway, to Lofoten Islands, to again these magnificent archipelago of mountains, really, mountainous islands with fishing villages that sort of, these mountains just come right down to the water. Again, you know, you can see the northern lights, the snow caps. It just looks so nice. So yeah, that's definitely one for next year, hopefully. And then we've got Emma, my girlfriend, who's banging on me about going to Asia. She wants to do the whole, Cambodia, Vietnam, this kind of thing as well, which is, definitely get some great shots from there. And again, more people shots. I don't really take many people shots, and I really, I think you get some amazing shots of people. People are very photogenic out there, and that would be great to try and actually master that. So that's sort of something, I've still working on, I suppose, as a photographer is people.
Yeah.
Do you find inspiration from famous photographers? So are there any really, really good photographers out there where you see what they've done and then you say, okay, I want to try and emulate this theme or atmosphere that they've created in the photo? Yeah,
definitely. So again, through like Instagram, that you get to follow these amazing people, and you get to have that slice of what they've been up to, and some of the photos are mind blowing, and you think, God, if only I could get that. But yeah, you do look at it and you think, okay, well, we'll try and shoot that. We've got, there's this guy in San Francisco, and he just shoots the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, he, literally just, most pictures are the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah. But, he gets thousands of likes per photo, and you think people would be bored of it, but they're not. And, we kind of me and Josh kind of go up to the Severn Bridge and, try and emulate those shots. Obviously, it doesn't look quite as nice as it's not quite San Francisco. Yeah. But yeah, you do kind of think, okay, yeah, that would be cool, or that would be good. Like now in Lee Woods with the boats up there. I can't remember the art project now. What's it called? Not Grounded. I can't remember now. Anyway,
we'll find it.
Yeah. But yeah, the boats up there. The fishing boats in Lee Woods. I think it's great. But you see so many photographs of just the boats. In Lee Woods, just sort of a quick snapshot, but it'd be cool to set something up as a scene in there, using props and stuff like that. So yeah, it gets you thinking, when you see photos. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely as a photographer, you think, okay, I can use that, or I could spin some steel wool off that, or shoot it slightly differently. Yeah.
Hmm. Do you have any particular ones that you remember particularly just amazed you? Incredible photos that just you would have no idea how they've been created? Or is it more just a general theme?
You have an eye for Photoshop, don't you? You can tell when something's being generated.
Yeah, normally as a if you've looked at images a lot, like I have, I suppose you kind of get to see the ones that have been been adjusted or tweaked. There's some that I do. I can't really remember off the top of my head. That's the thing. There's definitely, you do definitely see some, especially there's some great editing work that's been done recently. There's a few photographs that I've seen that just, again, you kind of, as a photographer, they've been photoshopped, but at the same time, if you didn't, you wouldn't be able to tell. They've just been done so good, and that's the that's the thing with technology and cameras now. It's so easy to push things around, move things about, drag things here and drag things there, to create really cool photos. And in their right, they're again, it's art, but it's it's not the real life. But again, you'd quite happily go, actually, that's a really good job.
You could say it's no less legitimate. It's still a work of creative.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's still that the artist has seen it in his mind, and he kind of knows what he's going for. So yeah, it is. It's still creativity. And there's a lot of people. We were talking about the other day. A few people were saying, "Oh, he was listening to a show. I think it was on Radio 4 about still a lot of question whether photography is art." But we were saying, you still go out with your camera, and you go to a location, you kind of know, okay, well, I'm going to shoot at sunset, but you don't know how good that sunset's going to be. You don't know quite what the view is going to be like until you get there. And it's that perception of what you go out for is that image in your mind first. And that image that once you've got the shot, okay, what am I going to do with this in editing, and when you really bring it out, I think it is. Yeah, it's art, definitely.
When you go on these trips, is it often unsuccessful, or is it generally?
Generally, do you know, it's probably being landscapes. It's weather dependent.
Yeah.
We all know what the weather's like in this country, and it can make or break a picture, definitely, or it can just be something. You could just have this really amazing sunset or this really big black cloud that you could just use, and most times they're successful. Yeah, definitely successful trips. Yeah, you've got to allow for a couple of days of down days of just waiting for the weather to pass, or just sort of actually we'll shoot tomorrow, or But yeah, it's you kind of have that sort of planned into the trip of a few days where it's going to be wasted. But generally you do come out with good photos, or photos you would never have thought you would have gotten. That's the best thing, is going somewhere, coming back and going, cool, actually, the photo I most liked was probably the photo that I probably wouldn't have, thought about twice originally. Yeah.
Well, what's sort of the rate at which you share the photos? So I'm sure you take a lot of photos, but you don't share all of them.
No, sure.
How many?
How many ratio?
Yeah.
Probably. Well, it's difficult. Probably because I like to share photos sort of throughout. I suppose keep a steady flow of photos on social media. So I try not to burn them up all at once. It's probably a good, probably 50-60%.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously we can take a lot of photos within that night or that day when we're shooting, but obviously you kind of discard those and keep the ones that you really like. But probably about sort of 60%. Yeah.
So you said that we should talk about this one. I think this particular photo of the Millennium Bridge where you let off a firework.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to go through the stories behind some of these sort of photos.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, this was in London, a Insta meet, as they're called on Instagram, which is where Instagrammers meet up. And yeah, this was back in the coldness of early February, and it was freezing that night, I remember. But it was really good because London, the actual sky, I'd never seen the sky so clear in London. You could really see the stars, which was awesome. Again, Josh, who I went with, he loves fireworks, steel wool, anything sort of pyrotechnics. And he took about 10 or 12 fireworks to London just to see if we can get some different shots. And that's it. There's so many shots of London, of Millennium Bridge with St Paul's Cathedral there. But again, as photographers, we try and be different. And this was right at the end of the night. I think this was the last shot. So we've been to like Leek Street graffiti tunnels. We've done loads of photography throughout the day. We've been up the Shard. Amazing sunset up there. Really, really cool. Again, actually, the Shard was quite a story in itself because you're not allowed to have tripods up there. So as a photographer, at night, it's really difficult because you need long exposure. You need a couple of seconds at least to have enough light. And again, we were like, well, what are we going to do? So luckily, we managed to get on the floor right next to the glass, because the glass on the side of the shard actually goes right the way through, so you can hold your camera right up to the edge of the glass on the floor. And we were getting everyone's way. Everyone's getting pissed off. There's like 4 photographers sort of laying down on the ground, and again another person said, be careful when you go up to the shard because you can get reflections, because there's a lot of light obviously inside the shard. You can get reflections of you in between the glass and your lens of the camera. Yeah. So again, we were like, what are we going to do now? So anyway, luckily, we just chucked up our coats and actually surrounded our cameras on our coats. And we just hope for the best. And actually, we got some really good shots because we know a few people going up there. And, they've got kind of shaky pitches, but we managed to do it. So yeah, again, back to the bridge. We kind of like sort of dared who was going to go along the bridge, because it's right in the middle of the bridge, and to set off this firework.
Is that legal?
Don't know. Don't know. Again, that was discussed, but no one really knew the answer. And it was kind of like, well, if it is, let's just do it quick and get out. And so yeah, we got one of our mates to who actually said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And yeah, he literally ran to the middle of the bridge and set off this firework. But again, it just makes a really cool, different shot. And shots like these that you remember, and they have a good story behind. It's cool. That's kind of the photo's only half the story. After this, we actually, funnily enough, it went off, and as soon as that happened, we saw this couple of police cars at the other side of the bridge, sort of coming along. But luckily, they just went straight past, because we did think for a split second, shit, we're in trouble now. But no, it's fine. We just packed up and went, and no one said anything. That was it. So it was cool. Yeah. So that was that shot.
Yeah. You're saying that loads of people take photos of the Millennium Bridge and St Paul's in the background. I'm sure loads of people take photos off the Shard. What is it that most people miss that makes them kind of just the average shot? Is it kind of the framing? Is it the lighting? Is it?
I definitely coming from. I mean, I love sunrises, sunsets. I love the low light, or if you got golden hour, the hour before sunset, where the sun's just really low and it's really, really orange, and you've got that lovely, gorgeous sort of soft glowing light that can really change the picture. Change the scene that's in front of you. I don't know if people, obviously shooting at different times of day has different times of effect, really. We shot there at night because you can see there's so much light around London, in the offices and the tall buildings. I love like the bridge that's got this real nice blue light going through it. It really stands out. You got the reflections. I love reflections in water, so I'd always shoot a long exposure because then you get reflections. I think this was like 30 seconds. You've got a real mixed array of like disco lights, really, in the water. So yeah, when people, I don't know, I guess, a lot of times I can be out. I never really shoot during the day because of that. Because I know that if I come back in the morning or at night, then I can really, for me, that's kind of like that's my creative bit, is actually doing long exposure stuff of a certain building, or even when you're doing long exposure of clouds, you get that big sort of movement of cloud, and you could just have a picture of a tree, but with that big movement of cloud going behind it, you can really make it stand out and make the picture look different. So yeah, it's different styles like that, really, rather than just broad daylight when there's a lot of contrast in the scene. There's a lot of big shadows. That's when you kind of don't quite get the good sort of shots. Yeah.
For these type of pictures, you can't really take them on, say, an iPhone or something like that. Is the lens more important than the camera itself? In wide angle or something like that?
It's a good question, really. I would say lenses are important, more important, because it gives you, again, lenses can give you a greater or smaller depth of field. They can give you a bigger range of view. Definitely, like I shoot landscape. Most of my stuff is actually shot on a big wide angle lens. I love, that's kind of, again, my style is sort of getting up close to something, but also shooting wide to get it all in, to make stuff look quite big, and to shoot quite low to the ground so everything looks higher than it is, and you get that kind of effect of everything being a bit more grander and a bit more bigger. But yeah, so lenses are definitely important. I mean, cameras are important. I've noticed since upgrading my camera to full frame, for long exposure stuff. If anyone knows out there, ISO is a big thing, really, to have a better ISO. It really, keeps your images clean and crisp and doesn't get so noisy or grainy, and where you lose a lot of detail. So yeah. But definitely, I think lenses are definitely, make the better changes.
I'm sure people listening who are fans of photography. Well, what's your actual kit?
So I shoot with a Nikon D610, which is a full frame 24 megapixel camera. I've got a 14mm wide-angle lens. Again, with big apertures, f2.8, and I do a lot of my astro stuff, a lot of star stuff with that, because it's, you can really, with that low aperture, you can really bring out the Milky Way and really show the stars. I've got a 50mm 1.8 prime lens, which I shoot. Again, it's quite a good lens. It gives you that really good depth of field. I've got a 24 to 70mm, again, f2.8 lens, and great landscape lens. And I've got a 70 to 300mm zoom lens as well. And that's kind of like, gives you that, lenses for me, they kind of, as long as I've got that range of field from, 14 to say 300mm, that's a good sort of range of lenses to have. Really, it covers me for most scenarios. If there's anything that's out the blue, then I'll go higher lens, or try and ask a friend if they can let me borrow theirs for a day or something. But yeah, and then I'll just use ND filters a lot, really, to if I'm shooting in the daytime, I use a big ND stop filter to really bring, sort of shut out the light, so I can do a longer exposure during the day. And that's probably about it. I use big shout out to Trigger Trap, who actually I have to do that because they've been really supportive. They're a really good company to be working alongside. They, again, social media, they always tweet out a lot of stuff and show a lot of pictures of mine. And they're actually quite a good company to actually hear, as a photographer's point of view, how because what they do, they've got an app, and what it does, it's your smartphone, and you basically buy the cable that goes into your camera that clicks into the headphone socket of your smartphone, and you actually use it as a trigger release.
All right.
Yeah. So and you can actually do a whole bunch of stuff. So like the Star Trails, you go in there, you set how many frames you want shot, and how many seconds of exposure you need, and you just let it do its thing, and it's so cool because again, it's minimalizing kit as well. I've always got my phone. I don't have to worry about taking other triggers because I know that the Trigger Trap's going to do you do it all for me. So yeah, it's again, it's great. So yeah, I carry that with me, and that's probably about it really. I normally have a flash, but again, I don't really use it because it's only now and then when I really need to use it. But yeah, that sort of covers me for my photography stuff, and also a tripod. Obviously, that's probably the most important thing, I guess. Actually, is it doesn't really get mentioned a lot. It's actually and the importance of having a tripod, definitely. A lot of shots are ruined by just that little bit of movement where you could have had a tripod. So yeah.
You've mentioned a few times the importance of having contact. You say you borrowed lenses off people, you go on trips with people. Like, what sort of groups are you involved in, and would you recommend everyone gets involved in some groups to get their name out there? Yeah,
groups. So it's funny because you've got the whole kind of like camera club thing, years ago, and that's kind of like, especially my generation, don't really do camera clubs. Not nothing against old people, because I know a lot of camera clubs have the older photographer, and they're great. My Emma's father-in-law, stepfather, sorry, he's part of a club, and they're great fun. But it's funny, our generation don't really seem to do clubs. It's more based with social media stuff. So again, when you talk about clubs, there's not many I'm really part of. I mean, a lot of it's done through Instagram, really. But I guess the one thing I am part of is the Bristol Arts Collective, which are based in Bristol, and we're a collective of sort of 8 to 10 people, which are artists, illustrators, and graphic designers and photographers. So again, that's contacts I've made through there, which have been really cool. And we've got a site, website, which has got an online shop, so it's bristolartcollective.com. And yeah, we do meetups. We're hosting, hopefully going to host quite a lot of events throughout this year, so keep your eyes peeled. We're trying to acquire some wall space at the moment, so if anyone's got any wall space, that'd be great. If anyone's listening. Because again, we're such a big collective that we struggle to find enough space for us. It sounds funny, but it is. If we've got a couple of like 4 prints each, or bits of art to display, it takes up a lot of space. So yeah, it's again through that, we've made some good friends, made some good contacts, and it's again, it's great being in Bristol itself with such a creative city. Yeah, to have that is awesome.
Yeah. What is the aim with the collective? Do you have a kind of goal?
I guess the goal is to really, as a collective, well, I mean, I would say it's probably the goal is to be kind of like the number one source in Bristol, I guess, for anything that's creativity and arts, and as a service, because we can all obviously offer our services. So that's probably the goal. Is to be the collective that everyone sort of associates with in Bristol. If that sounds.
Yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah,
makes sense.
I'd never really thought about that. It's just kind of like I don't know what our aims and goals are. I mean, I know Ben, who runs it, probably got a better inkling than I have, really. Yeah.
Just follow it.
Yeah.
Have you had any of your work displayed with them then? You said they were looking for wall space, but
yeah,
the Best of Bristol magazine. Have you had anything appear in a museum or gallery? Sorry.
Yeah, Best of Bristol, they've just contacted me this week, actually, so try and look out for a feature hopefully soon. But yeah, we, again, one of our guys, Neil, who's been on the collective, he got featured actually in Best of Bristol this week. So it's great. But no, we have an online shop, and that's where you can go buy our artwork and our prints. But I think the long-term goal is to try and be in and around Bristol more, doing our own events. Set up a Bristol Art Collective event or a gallery. So that's probably what the end goal is, really. Yeah, definitely. So at the moment we've just got a shop, and you can go online and buy stuff straight from there, which is cool, which is awesome. But yeah,
ultimately you do want to see that stuff in the gallery, though.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great, if we all got a gallery to display our work in for a few weeks, or did one-off events and parties and that. Yeah, it'd be awesome. Really cool. Yeah.
Just before we get to our last 2 questions, one thing is, we talked about it last time, but if you've had, because a lot of time with people who are up and coming photographers, they're looking for advice on various things. We talked about the ISO and things like that. But say they have their photographs stolen or used without their permission. Is there a sort of process to go through with it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, that. As a photographer, when if you ever see your image, I mean, luckily I haven't seen any of my images used anywhere else. Well, I don't think they are anyway. It could well be. Especially without your permission, it does. It's real. That's kind of like the harsh side of social media. Really, is your pictures are so easily grabbable now. And yeah, I don't know. The procedure's hard, really. It lends down to personal views, really. As much as you can be really pissed off, I think you're best off trying to approach them and say, thanks for, obviously you like my photo, but could you at least credit me, or give my website a mention, or say it's shot by me. That's all you can do, because it's difficult, because obviously once it's so easy just to click and download, and then they've got it, and they've got it at their power, really.
Flickr's quite good at that. You can't actually do that. You have to take a screenshot.
Yes,
But you can always
that's it. It's there are ways around it, and it's definitely more difficult. I know a few people recently have got their work stolen, and these are people who make their money or their livelihood by selling prints, and it is difficult. But yeah, my advice is just is to directly approach them, really. Whether they respond or not, it's difficult. But you've got to try, definitely.
Yeah.
What option is to really heavily watermark your photos?
Yeah.
You don't actually do that. Is that
kind
of deliberate? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I put a watermark on the side of the image, but at the same time, I don't like images that have got a massive watermark spread across the whole image, because
it ruins it.
Straight away, you're like, all I can see is your watermark, and it's like, yeah, for me, I might as well not have even looked at the image because it's just wasting my time. It's a waste of your time really, because you can't see behind. Well, you can, but you can't. It's like you just see the watermark, and it ruins shots. But I can understand why people do it, obviously. But yeah, it's no, I don't like that kind of that thing really. Yeah, it's. I think that's quite an old school thing though. I don't really see many of that these days. A lot of the time it's placed to one side or one corner, which is a lot better.
Yeah. I think.
Moving on to the last 2 questions then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do the first one.
All right, go for it.
I'm taking the positive one.
Go for it.
Yeah. So we asked you these 2 questions last time, and then and you can take it at whatever level you want, global, personal, your choice. But what are you excited about in the next 20 years? What are you looking forward to?
Good question. Definitely with my photography, seeing how far I can push that, seeing where I go with it, whereabouts in the world it might take me, and people to meet along the way, more contacts. It's like recently I have had this French company just email me out the blue, and it took me a few days because I was like, someone emails you out the blue saying, "Oh, we'd like to have your photo. We're going to put it on." They're actually a French clothing company, and they want me to give them an image to them use to print on T-shirts. And I was kind of like, is this a bit of a hoax? Because they want bank details to pay me for commissions and. But yeah, actually, it's stuff like this, like collaborations that just pop up that you'd never expect, and that's the real joy of photography. Like when I was first starting out, I never thought I would see a picture of mine on clothing that you can, that hopefully lots of people would buy. But yeah, it's stuff like that. I think it's quite the unexpected stuff that is the exciting part. Is knowing what could be in the next 20 years, obviously. But the main goals would be to just travel with photography as well. That's probably one of the main goals, definitely.
And then ending on a bit of a downer, but what are you most worried about?
Yeah, most worried about. Well, I'm a bit of a. I suppose I love nature, and I love traditions. I love going to different places and around the world and seeing all these different countries with their own different ways and how they live their lives and what they're living in. And now especially in the last 20 years, these countries are just wanting to be like the rest of us. They want the infrastructure, and it's kind of like, for me it's kind of like, that's what I'm most worried about is not having these like mountainous tribes, or going somewhere and there's these people working on rice paddies in these amazing landscapes and old traditions that they've passed on for thousands of years that are dying out. Stuff like that I think is a real killer, because it'd be a real shame to lose that. There's such a wealth within that would be, that's what I'm most scared of, is the whole world just becoming like everything else. And then, for me, then I love the difference that you get when you travel and you see different countries. So that would be.
I think I mentioned last time, it's partially the role of the photographer to kind of record that,
and
make sure that sort of stuff is preserved.
Yeah, definitely. When you take these shots, they are preserved, and they're preserved hopefully for forever. So. Yeah, that's why I think people, especially photographers, landscape photographers, and that they travel around, because there's all these different, amazing views around the world. And if that was one day everyone was just, doing what we were doing back here and have the infrastructure we have, it would all look really just the same. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us on the episode.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
And thanks to all the listeners for listening.